Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. Hey, as I have promised you, I am going to do a little HDR video comparison today. We're going to shoot in 4K 30 frames per second with the Skydio 2. This is an HDR drone that shoots in high dynamic range. And then I've got the Mavic Air 2 that also shoots in HDR, and we're going to put that in 4K 30 frames per second and shoot in HDR. And then finally we've got the Parrot Anafi. Same thing with it. It is the first HDR drone that I own, so we're going to put them all up. I'm at Lucky Peak Reservoir at Turner Gulch on Lucky Peak Reservoir. A little different spot than you've seen me fly before. I usually fly from the Vista Point. I wanted to do that today, but they've got the road closed, so we came over here to Turner Gulch, and we're going to just take them out over the reservoir here. Hopefully get some good vistas. It's midday, so it's probably not the best time to demonstrate HDR video. You know, HDR, obviously you want to see the difference between the dark areas and the light areas. Well, it's going to be pretty light out here today, but it's a beautiful day to fly, so we're going to just we're going to do it anyway. And you'll at least be able to compare the video between the three drones, and they are the three drones that I own that all three shoot in HDR. So give me just a second here, and we'll get the Skydio 2 going first, and yeah, we'll put it up in the air. Okay, so I'm just connecting to the drone. It says calibrating now, and of course I'm using the Skydio controller, which is ironically, when you see me fly the Parrot Anafi, it's going to look identical, but it is indeed a different controller. Okay, we're recording on the screen recording, so we're going to click fly now, starting the autonomy engine, and let's check our settings here. We are in 4K 30 frames per second, and yeah, HDR is on. I wanted to double check that. Yeah, now HDR is on, so we're good. 4K 30 frames per second, which is what we talked about. So we're going to hold to take off. So hopefully Sarah got that takeoff. I think she did on her cameras. Sarah's helping me out with the GoPro. Let me drop it down just a little so you can see the drone. I mean, it's very steady. So we're going to quit messing around. Let's get it up in the air. And the whole point of this time, we're not going to do any tracking with this drone. This is a cinematic flight. And it's not letting me go any more than 31 feet. 30 feet. And I don't know why. Pushing up on the stick. Okay, let's go ahead and move forward here. Yeah, now it's letting me get some altitude. So this is Lucky Peak Reservoir. So we're going to fly out here. What you see off in the distance there, let me pick up the gimbal just a little bit. Yeah, I forget on this drone it's a little different controller, so I'm trying to get to that rule of thirds. But it looks to me that is Vista Point off there that you're seeing in the center of the screen. So with HDR video, it looks like we got a boat out there just taking off. So what you're trying to look at here is obviously the difference between the mountains off in the distance, the sky, the clouds, and the reservoir itself. And we're out over 1,000 feet. And where we're at here is actually in the flyway for Lucky Peak, or for the Boise Airport, but you're restricted to 150 meters, and obviously we're not going to go that high at all. We're at about 150 feet right now. We'll see if we can get out there close to the Vista Point there. You know, one of the issues with this drone, and there are some trees between me and the drone, one of the issues with this guy that people complain about is the range. So you're seeing the speed here of about 10 miles an hour, so I can hit the turbo button here and we can get a burst of speed. So I'll hit turbo and you'll see it kick up there to about 30 miles an hour, which is interesting. But normal speed on this guy is about 10 miles an hour. We've got really good signal, really clear on FPV. And this is Vista Point. I let off that turbo button. Let's kind of see what we can see here at Vista Point. And we're about 3,000 feet away. Makes me wonder if they're doing some kind of construction here. So I'm yawing over just a tad. And you'll hear a jet aircraft off in the distance, but he is way up there. Yeah, so we're starting to get a little break up here, so I'm going to stop right there. So I let off. We're about 3,300 feet away, and I'm seeing a little bit of modeling on the FPV screen. I'm not sure why they have this closed. We'll get a closer look at it when we fly the hopefully when we fly the Mavic Air 2. It should have a little bit better range. The Parrot Anafi is not going to be any better than this. So I'm going to yaw around here, and what you're looking at there is, oh, it locked up on me. So that, what I'm seeing on the screen, yeah, connection lost, so the drone is coming back. So we'll see. Yeah, connection regained. Okay. Yeah, so what you're seeing there is the that is the Lucky Peak Dam, and obviously you cannot fly over that. That is restricted. So let's fly back here. Yeah, connection lost again, connection regained. We're kind of at the limits of what this guy will do, connection-wise. That says flying to waypoint. Yeah, so it's returning to home is what it's going to do, and you know, we'll just let it do that. This is actually kind of a nice shot as the Vista Point recedes off in the distance there. And we're at about 61% battery. I'm keeping the controller facing the drone. It's coming back at about 10 miles an hour. So it's kind of interesting that it says flying to waypoint, which I assume that means the home point. Sarah's saying she doesn't see it. It's about 2,000 feet away, Sarah. So I do not have yaw control while it's in return to home. I'm kind of interested to see how accurately it'll find its home point here. Let's move out and let's turn around. So let's yaw around so you can kind of see the territory here. I'm going to drop the camera straight down, and you can see where we're at. So you can see my red Durango down there, and we are actually above 400 feet. So I'm going to drop it down here. I don't know how we ended up that high. You know, it must have done that on its return to home. So let's pick up the camera. So you can see the mountains that were, or the, it's not exactly mountains. See if I can get the camera down here, folks, and we'll see if we can land it. close. I'm going to hit land. Love the way this thing does that. It gives you the little icon on the screen. Hopefully you'll see that. We'll be a little bit off here. So we landed with 24% battery, and that's about right. Now what I would have liked to have done was have the drone facing us on its way back, but I thought that was kind of cinematic the way it was returning to home, pointed out at the Vista Point there. So let's get the Mavic Air 2. Well, you know what? Next, let's put up the Parrot Anafi, and that'll be a very similar controller to this one, and we'll try and fly that same route. And the Anafi doesn't have a lot of range either, so we'll see how it does. Okay, so got the Parrot loaded up, started up, and the Free Flight 6 app started. It's been a while since I've flown this bird, so I'm gonna have to mess around in the app here a little bit. First thing I'm gonna do is take a look at the SD card. It says we're ready to go here, so let's take a look at the SD card, and let's format it. Quick formatting. So we're good to go with the SD card, and it's telling us connected. It's giving us a green across the board at the top there, so let's hit the Fly app here, and it wants to update, but I do not want to do that right now. Yeah, it may not let me. You know, I thought about updating this guy before I left the house, doing it last night, but I thought, you know, we're going to be out there in the field. I can just skip over it, but the Parrot won't let you do that, evidently. And we had green there on all the calibrations, as you saw. So let's hit Fly, hit later, and we should be able to take off here. So I'm going to go. Let's check our camera here. Okay, so when you have HDR selected, everything is in auto. So so let's go ahead and take off here, and hopefully Sarah can get that on video. And I'm going to click take off. This drone is so quiet, so we'll let it hover there for a second and get a good look at its landing pad. And we have 97% battery, so that's good. So let's just go straight up. And boy, my phone dimmed there because it's getting warm. And straight forward. Okay, I had to go back to my car there to so I could see what I was doing. To get the camera in the shade, my cell phone dims because it gets really hot. Whenever you're in the direct sunlight like this, it dims the display. And I forgot I had this thing set in metric, so but we can see how close we're getting. I adjusted the yaw there a little bit. Now we are I think this is about the point that we broke up and lost contact with the Skydio. So we're going a little bit further. We've got a good FPV signal here. I'm dropping the camera here so we can see, and let's see if we can kind of circle around here a little bit. Kind of doing a manual circle around the yeah, there I had a little break up, but that's usually where I park, and I don't see any construction going on there, but if you look over there, you can see a roadblock down there by the highway, and I don't know why they did that. So we are at 86% battery, so we're in great shape. So there again, you can see the dam, and obviously we can't fly over there. That is closed airspace. But just for your information, I do have a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers to fly here. You cannot just simply fly at this location. You have to have a permit to do so. Well, I'll tell you what, it is so hard to see. My FPV is just really difficult. So let's lift that camera back up here. Well, that's a little bit too high. But this is heading directly back to where we took off. And obviously, this drone does not have any kind of obstacle avoidance, so I need to be a little bit more careful about where I'm flying. And you know, I could fly right into the side of the mountain if it would let me. How fast are we going here? Yeah, we're going about 11, yeah, a little over 11 meters per second. So that's about 24 miles an hour or so. Let's take a look at what we got here. I see, like I said, I'm sorry guys, if I could see better I could capture some of this, but we have a boat down there. But like I said, it's difficult. I'm in direct sunlight where I'm standing here, and as my phone heats up, it dims the screen. But let's see if we can do a little. Maybe a little circle around this guy. Must be fishing, I would gather there. Okay, pick the camera back up, and you can see a little bit too high there. And as I turn around here, this is Turner Gulch. So what I'm looking at here is Turner Gulch, and you can see the boat ramps, and then we're just on the other side of those trees there that you see kind of at the middle right. So let's head up Turner Gulch here a little. Just want to make sure we can clear everything here. Better safe than sorry. And we're at 73% battery, so we're pretty darn good. So again, we're shooting in HDR, so what you want to look at is how it is resolving the sky and the mountains. Hopefully you can see the clouds, and you can see the reservoir and the mountains. I can hear the drone above us right now. So I'm going to turn and go up the gulch here just a little ways. There's a trail going up there. Yeah, I won't go up there too far. Okay, let's yacht around and come back this way. And there again, I cannot, so as I come back this way, I can only go so far because the dam in that area is a no-fly zone. But there we are. So we're in that parking lot right there. So let's bring it back to us. 67% battery. Oh, I dropped the gimbal just a little too far. I struggle a little bit. So that's the boat ramp. That's where we're at here. That's where everybody's putting their boat in. And I am not going to go any further than this because I do not want to get in controlled airspace there. I'm sure I could probably go a little further, but I just don't want to do it. Okay, so we're going to head right back out into the reservoir here, and then we'll hit return to home. And we'll see how accurately this guy will land. And Sarah's manning the GoPro for me today. She's going to get a video of it as it lands. Okay, we're out there about 500 meters, so I am going to hit return to home on the controller now. And it took the command immediately, turned around. Unlike the Skydio, which just reversed its way back, this guy turns around and goes head first. Most drones do it that way, although there's a few that just that they just reverse their way back to their home point. So this one I have found to be very, very accurate with precision landing. One of the cool things about the Skydio is that about the Parrot Anafi, is that it will ask you before it lands. It'll come down so far, and then it'll say, hey, do you want to land? And then you have to okay that. So here it comes. You can see us down there. I'll drop the gimbal down here. There again, the whole point of this video is to look at that HDR video and see you know, how it resolves the difference between the dark and the light spots. And I realize this is midday. It's probably not the best time of day to be testing this, but that's what we're doing. This Anafi has a phenomenal camera on it. You know, this is a drone that's been out for a couple of years, and boy, I can hear it coming down here. And I can't remember if this one lifts the camera before it lands or not, but yeah, it's coming down right. Yeah, it stopped. So it was coming down right on top of the car there. So let's back it off here a little bit. See if I can get the. Ooh, that was too far. See if I can get the. Get right in the center here. Well, that's going to be close enough. We're going to hit land. I'm going to pick the gimbal back up. I'm not sure if it does it by itself or not. So I'm going to pick the gimbal up, and we are going to hit land. Yeah, and I was a little bit off of the, I'm going to point the Canon down, and hopefully Sarah got that as well. So you can see it was a little bit off. This thing's been pretty accurate in the past, so I don't know why the home point was so far off there, but it was. But yeah, you know, that's all right. Okay, let me get this guy shut down, and then we'll get the Mavic Air 2, and we'll fly essentially the same route. Okay, so we have the DJI Mavic Air 2 ready to go. Let me, I'm going to look in here and show you that we are in HDR 4K 30 frames per second. So that's been consistent with all of these drones. So it's not giving me any warnings, asking for any calibrations. I'm going to check the white balance. Sorry about that. You know, let's just leave it in auto. We've left everything in auto on the other one, so we're going to leave that in auto. Okay, again, we're going to start recording now, and we are going to take this baby off. We've got 13 satellites, that's good, and I'll hold this down and we'll get takeoff. And let's see, yeah, you can see that on screen. I'm going to raise it up just a little bit. We'll go up about 3.5 meters, 4 meters. Let it take a good look at its landing site, like they tell you to do if you want a good, accurate return to home. They tell you to do that. I am going to drop the gimbal just a little bit to get to that rule of thirds, and we're going to go straight up. Yeah, about 30 meters high, full forward here. Picking up the gimbal just a little bit, and just like with the other drone, we're going to head straight out there to Vista Point. And my phone must be cooler because I'm getting a good FPV view here. I'm going to go up a little higher. Let's get some altitude. Let's get up about 50 meters or so. Yeah, I've got a really good FPV view right now, so the phone is evidently staying cooler. Yeah, when I was flying the Anafi a few minutes ago, the phone had dimmed because it was hot, and I could not see this as well as I can right now, so I was a little bit blind on that one. Let's grab a little more altitude. Let's get up about 60 meters. And just like we did with the Anafi, let's see if we can kind of do a circle around the vista point here. That is a fun place to fly from, and that's typically where I like to take off and fly from. Usually there's not a lot of people there, so there's not a lot of distraction and noise, but they got that road closed, and we'll fly over that a little bit here. Let's take a look at that. We should be able to get over the top of that just a little. See if we can see any road construction going on here, and I don't really see anything. So I don't know what that's about, but that's usually where I park there, is right down below where that little picnic structure is. And you can see the little restrooms there. And right by the highway here, I pick up the camera just a little, they've got a barrier set up there. And I am not sure, I wonder if that has to do, you know what, I'll bet you that has to do with COVID. They don't want people congregating. I'll bet you that's it. Now you can see some cars that are parked there. They got just off the highway and they're parked. But at any rate, I don't want to get any closer than that, because, like I said, we really need to stay away from the dam itself. That is a no-fly zone for sure. So we're just going to back it right up here and yaw around a little bit. Oh, just barely a little break up on FPV there. There's the dam. You know, we have good range with this guy, and we've got a lot of battery. Let's fly up this little. I'm trying to remember what they call this little gulch here. That's right next to Highway 21. But you can see the reservoir is full. And all of these little spots where you see trees, they have picnic areas set up. So if you can only access them by boat. So if you've got a boat, you can get out here and stop at, tie up to one of these docks and have a little picnic. Really a neat deal that they've set up here. And this is just outside of Boise. This is probably, I don't know, I'm going to say 10 miles outside of Boise, if that far. Maybe not even that far, 5 miles. So if you've got a boat, you just come up here. You can come up here in the afternoon, put it in the water, do some water skiing for a couple hours. Yeah, weak signal. So what we have here is we've got a mountain or a hill in between us and the drone. I'm sure if I raised altitude, I could probably get a better signal back. So yeah, it looks like this is some people tied up right here at this little picnic area. We'll fly over the top of that. Boy, I'm getting a lot better FPV here. So I don't, you know, I wondered when I was flying it, yeah, and then we got that weak signal again. What's the worst that can happen? It'll go into return to home. Yeah, so there's some people tied up there. We'll pick up the camera and turn around. We don't want to bug anybody. That highway there you see is Highway 21. That goes up to Idaho City and on up in the mountains over Moores Creek Summit. That eventually would take you to Stanley, Idaho. Lowman and then Stanley. So here we are, way back up here. I'm picking up the gimbal again. Let's put this baby in sport mode. So one of the things that they say about this drone is that in sport mode it pushes the gimbal down. So let's try it. We're going to go full stick forward now. And let's see how fast we get up to here. 18 meters per second. We're moving right along. Weak signal, boy, we shouldn't have that here. But you can see where I'm standing there, we've got that hill between us and the drone. And I'm sure if I grabbed more altitude, we could have got better signal there. But it's amazing how fast we can get back. Yeah, so you just saw that altitude limit there. So we just crossed back into that flyway for the Boise airport. So they want to keep you below 150 meters. But of course, obviously, if there's an aircraft that low over the reservoir here, they got bigger problems than this little drone. I can tell you that. But obviously, we're not gonna go over the top of that. So yeah, we made it back really quick in sport mode here. You can see us down there. And there again, we're shooting in HDR, so we want to look at the differences between the and by the way, the gimbal appeared to be just fine. So I'm going to switch it back into normal mode. I saw no weird movements or anything with the gimbal. So we're in normal mode here, and we're going to go up Turner Gulch here. And boy, I can see so much better than I could with the Anafi. I think I heated up my phone when we were doing that firmware update on the Anafi. I think it heated things up and caused my phone to, that's why my phone overheated and dimmed. I can actually see what I'm doing now. When I was flying the Anafi here, I was kind of flying blind. So we're not going to get too carried away here. We'll yaw around. Well, we can go up this part of the gulch here. It was me picking up the gimbal just a little bit. Looks like there's a walking trail. I see people stopping here and grabbing their dogs, so I'm sure that that's what they're doing. This is a walking trail that goes up. So we're gaining some altitude here as we go up the gulch. We've got plenty of battery, so we might as well make use of this. And I am full stick up gaining altitude. We will be at max altitude here in a second. Yeah, max altitude reached. So I'm going to stop right there, and we are going to turn around. See if we can do a fairly slow yaw here. So I'm looking forward to evidently when they updated the Fly app for Android, they were able to get some different coloring on the data set at the top of the app here. Instead of white on a light sky, often if there's white clouds, you cannot see what that thing is doing at all. Yeah, and I see my phone just dimmed there a little bit, tiny bit, so it must be heating up. And I am full, and it's dimming again. Manned aircraft, so let's click on that. We can see where that guy's at. See him on the map there? And I have eyes on him. He is way higher than we are. I have eyes on that aircraft. He is way up there. That's pretty cool. That's ADS-B for you. I like that feature. And you can see he's passing by us, but he is literally, I'm going to guess, a couple thousand feet up there. He's way up there. Okay, I'm going to pick the gimbal back up here and drop some altitude. Let's get it back down to about 50 meters. and then we'll do a return to home, and we'll see how accurately this guy lands. There, we got a boat off in the distance. And clearly my phone is heating up because it's starting to dim the screen. I can't tell from here whether that's a jet ski or a boat. Like I said, my phone is starting to dim, so it's difficult for me to tell. Anyway, okay, so we're down to about 50% battery. Heck, we got a little battery. That's no point in giving up now. This thing has good flight time, doesn't it? I mean, I guess I'm looking at, we've only been recording for about 13 minutes here, I guess. So I bet if I put it in sport mode, I could catch him. Okay, we're going to stop right there, and we are going to hit return to home, and let's see how accurately this guy lands. And you cannot stop the beeping on this, so I apologize for the beeping, but here she comes, and of course it's going over the top of that little peninsula there. But the cool thing about this guy is it does have obstacle avoidance, so if I'd have done that with the Parrot Anafi would not, and if it was too low, it wouldn't have known, and it would just plow right into the side of it. But this guy and the Skydio 2, although they do it in different ways, they have obstacle avoidance, and that just wouldn't happen. There we are down here. I'm going to drop the gimbal as we get closer. You can see me standing there next to the red Durango. Sarah's going to get the landing on video here, and I'm going to point the gimbal straight down here so we can see how well it does. Let's see if it'll get a precision landing. It's orienting itself. I mean, obviously we're a little off there. You can tell we're a little off, so. Oh, it's orienting itself. It's coming back. Yeah, look at that. It's right on. It's got the crosshairs right on. It's going to hit it right on the money. It was fun to watch it correct there. Drop this camera down so you can see it, and Sarah's recording it too. And it picked up the camera. It did that by itself. Picked up the gimbal, and it is landing. It's going to hit that H right in the middle. That is really fun. Right on the H. Pretty cool. So one thing you got to remember with this particular drone, you got to stop recording so that you do not corrupt your video file. So you close out the video file. And I want to tell you, if you ever do that, pick the camera back up here. If you ever accidentally shut off the drone before you stop recording, it's really easy to fix on this one. You just simply start the drone back up, start another recording, just let it record for a couple of seconds and then shut it off, and it'll close out all those other files on the SD card and it'll recover that for you. So just a little tip to remember there, but the best thing to do is to remember to shut off recording before you shut off the drone. Anyway, let me get everything shut down and we'll do a quick conclusion. Okay, so this was a lot of fun today. We're out at Lucky Peak Reservoir at the Turner Gulch boat launch, and you know, I typically like to fly from the Vista Point that we flew out there on the other side, but obviously that was closed, so we couldn't do it. However, this was open, so we flew from here, and we took the Mavic Air 2, we took the Skydio 2, and we took the Parrot Anafi. We flew them all in HDR 4K 30 frames per second video, HDR high dynamic range. Now today wasn't the ideal time of day to be shooting in HDR, because what HDR does is it helps highlight the differences, or make sure that everything is exposed correctly, the dark areas, the lighter areas, and the bright areas, so that you can see the definition in all of them. Obviously a bright day, but we did, you will be able to see the difference between the sky, the mountains, and the lake, the reservoir itself, so that'll give you an idea. So just compare them and see what you think. Moreover, it was just fun to fly around, and it was fun to fly in a little different spot besides just the park. And yeah, I guess that's about it. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out, and if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I really appreciate you taking the time to look at this video, and there's no question we'll see you on the next one. Probably have some surprises coming up. I had intended to do a video with the Skydio chasing my brushless motor RC car, but when I got that RC car going, the controller was dead, so I couldn't get that done. I've talked to the folks at Banggood. I'm trying to get them to send me a new controller. Hopefully they will. You know, if not, you can buy those controllers for about 26, 27 bucks, something like that. But in any case, hope to get that done sometime in the future. Might be a while, but we probably have some other surprises coming up too. So we'll see you on the next one. Bye now.